Welcome back to the R-Rated Podcast. The R-Rated Podcast. This week's guest is...
Welcome back to the R-Rated Podcast. Today's guest is Brook, and we're going to talk about the film industry and how we met. So, Brook, I guess to give them a little insight, you want to share how we met?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me.
Oh my God, thanks for coming on.
And, we met at Santa Set.
Yeah, classic Santa Set. So for people kind of following the podcast, you know that it's a COVID testing company for film and TV productions. And funny story, Brook was actually basically the one that trained me.
Oh, yeah, Em and I.
Yeah, Em and Brook were the first ones that trained me because the day before we got put on set together, I literally had a job interview, got the job within like 30 minutes, and then had like an hour training. But the training that I had nothing to do with the on-set stuff that we were doing. It was more like processing in the office. So I was pretty surprised when they put me on set, but I did speak confidently on being like, yeah, I'm a fast learner. I can like be on set. And then they call me and they're like, hey, can you be on set tomorrow? And I'm like, I said I was a fast learner. Like, so I was like, yeah, I got it. And then turns out the shoot was for Blonde Ivy Park, shoot the Beyonce stuff with like Adidas, right? I think that's
I kind of forget the details.
Yeah, like something like that.
Beyonce is making a commercial.
Exactly. And I didn't know they had big clients like that, right? So like I pull up and I'm like, they told me was like, hey, these are the other assistants that are gonna be there. Text either Brook or M. And I think I texted both of you guys. I was like, hey, I'm here. Like, what's happening? Like, where do I go? Luckily, they were super chill and nice. And I kind of shadowed you guys in the beginning.
But you were a fast learner.
And then I was just like, it was kind of crazy, though, because I just remember being like, there's like 2 lines and people were like, those kind of people are very like, I don't wait,
Yeah.
So it was kind of like nerve-wracking a little bit. But I feel like now that I know the flow of things, I'm like, that wouldn't intimidate me. But the first day I was like, what did I get myself into?
Yeah, I have a personal story with Santa Set throwing me in the fire. It was very similar. It was on the offer.
Oh, you got that on the offer. Okay.
Yeah, and it was, I forgot what the horse track is called.
Arcadia, like the horse races. Yeah, I know exactly. Yeah, they've shot there a couple of times, actually.
And they had, they warned me. They were like, oh.
They warned me?
Like, there's going to be like 200 background extras. Like, are you ready? And I'm like,
you're like, I don't know, am I?
No, at the time I thought that, because I had shadowed someone else, and I thought that.
But shadow is different than actually physically doing it. Like, I think I would have like probably messed up if I like had just done the stuff like right away. But since I was like watching you guys doing it, and then whenever we had downtime, you guys were like explaining it. I feel like that's why it worked and it helped. But like, honestly, if I would have just had to like do the work and just kind of figure it out, I would have been I feel like.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I probably messed up a lot that day, but they definitely needed my help.
Yeah, they're like, it's okay.
And I was with M and Max and Zach.
Fun fact, the 3 of us don't work at Santa Set anymore, all 3 of us. I feel like
homies now.
I know. It's like now we know it's not just a work relationship. It was always, I always felt like it was a genuine like, friendship for sure, because we always talked about other things too, like, besides like work stuff. But I feel like it was just like nice to have like work as a base of like, let's hang out and talk.
Yeah, and it's nice like making friends with your coworkers.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Was that common for you to like make friends with like your coworkers? I feel like I this was the first job where I actually made like genuine connections, like friendships where I like decided to take it outside of work. Before it was always like, oh, we're just work friends. You know what I mean?
No, I hear you. I mean, I feel like I always make at least one friend everywhere I go.
Yeah.
I don't know. But most of the work I had done before the film industry was like as a server and bartender.
Yeah.
So I feel like
that's pretty. I've done. I mean, I did hostesses. I'm like, is that? I don't even remember. I blocked it out of my. Honestly, the restaurant business, I give major props for everyone who's in it because I can't fucking do it. Like, I just can't deal with the rude people. Like, I'm just like, you're at a restaurant, like, calm down.
Well, that's how I got through undergrad, was working as a server, and then I became a bartender, and I actually prefer serving over bartending. But
really?
I digress.
Okay, that's interesting.
I don't like being stuck in a box. I feel like a lot of people expect you to listen to them, like
as a bartender. I could see that though.
Yeah, you're like
they're like Brook,
psychologist.
Yeah,
you're like a therapist.
You're like a therapist. You're like, just have another shot.
And then people want you to
feeling sad. Oh, really?
Yeah, people would always try to
buy you drinks
and stuff, and I'm like, damn.
Were you? Yeah, like, would you be allowed to? Like, I don't know if as a bartender, are you allowed to do that?
I never worked like at a bar. It was always like in a restaurant. I feel like at a bar, that's more, it's more casual. You kind of would drink with the clientele. Yeah. But I'm at a bar in a restaurant that's like casual fine dining, you know?
Okay.
Just,
You're like, woo, get this party started. They're like, it's Sunday, calm down.
It's Sunday brunch.
Yeah. Actually, that's a reason to turn up. Mimosas.
Yeah. So I'm haunted by the service industry.
Yeah.
But definitely those work traits carry over in the film industry, I think, or at least I think it helps.
Yeah, to be able to deal with like people, or like what?
Working in a team and working with people, because you're working with all types of people in the industry. Like, I mean, I know you're aware of that, but
right.
I mean, I think I had told you this one time when I was working for Santa Set.
Yeah.
On the off.
Yeah. So what happened? Well, was there any tea now that the show's wrapped?
Yeah. Sorry, but the hair and makeup department of that show in particular. Oh yeah. Notorious.
I can vouch for that. I even got like yelled at for no reason. I don't know why they always feel that department feels very entitled to like, I need to be the first one to like get tested and stuff like that, which to a certain extent, like I know you have to like get to your actors and stuff, but at the same time, it's like you can't be cutting the lines just because you feel more entitled, because I saw it firsthand, like people, every head department like waiting in line, and then hair and makeup would be like, I can't wait, and just like cut everyone. And then I would hear other crew members be like, oh yeah, okay, so since I do hair and makeup, I can just cut the line. Like they were getting frustrated.
No, they played games, I felt like, because not only would they do that, but then they would come around and be like, oh, I have to get tested today. And you know how they have the schedule?
Yeah, like you have certain days that you get tested or don't get tested.
So I felt like first of all, sorry, I hit the mic. First of all, they would complain about the testing, but then at the same time, they would like demand to get tested, even when they weren't required to get tested.
Yeah.
But on this day in particular, they didn't show up for testing when it was on their call sheet. And they have to, it's there.
And it's like, whose fault is that at the end of the day? It's not like, that we're setting up there and we're ready to test you. But if you decide not to show up, like, that's not really on us. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And so we were brought to set to test like the director and stuff.
Right.
But as we were leaving the hair and makeup department, they were like sitting in their little chairs and like, we haven't been tested.
As you walk by.
As we walk by.
That is so immature.
And I had to leave, like, whatever, they were causing me to delay to go back to base camp and leave. So then I'm on the floor, like putting the test on the floor. It was like gravel.
Oh
just
my
to
God.
Test these people. And then one of them starts just bad mouthing us, saying like, this is the first production I've ever been on that the COVID team isn't hunting us down to get us tested. Like, I'm
sorry. Yeah. Like,
no, the most entitled thing she said was, I don't wake up in the morning and think about COVID. I think about my job.
Hold up. You should, because don't be selfish. This is not like all about you. And it's like, that's what bugs me. It's like, I get that you like, this is a big production. This is a big show. I'm sure you have a great resume, portfolio of movies and shit, but it's your attitude too. Like, if like, no one's going to want to work with you if you're like this like grouchy person saying like demanding things and stuff. It's like, don't treat others like they're like below you. And it's like, at the end of the day, if we don't COVID test you, you're not going to work. So do you really want to be rude to the people that are helping you with the COVID testing? I don't think so.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's what the head CCO told her.
Yeah. And it sucks it had to even get to that point where the CCO has to get involved. Like, just because they don't like follow like simple instructions, like, hey, get COVID tested at this time so you can go do the rest of your job. Also, that messes up everything, because if she was positive and she had just decided to go work on the actors and then, you know, said like, oh, test me now, and then it was, she would have already infected everyone.
Yep. And, I mean, as we know, that show had some hiccups, but it's, you know, I don't want to judge, because it was a huge production.
Yes.
Like, how do you even
biggest production I've ever been on. Yeah, for sure.
Same. But I guess this is a good transition over to like my last job.
Yeah. Okay, yes.
So we just established we have COVID compliance knowledge.
Right.
Vaccinated. You know?
Yeah, vaccinated. Honestly, like all the productions, like the studio ones, they kind of require you to be vaccinated at this point.
Yeah, you would think so. Mm-hmm. But so this is kind of like my most recent horror job story.
We want to hear the horror stories too, because I feel like, you know, you think of Hollywood, or like I feel like people who aren't necessarily like doing the film stuff, they're like, oh, the movie or show turned out so great, like, and then there's like a red carpet event and like Oscars, like you think it's so glamorous, right? You think like, oh, award shows and shit. But what they don't show is you like breaking your back and like lifting a fucking C-stand.
Yeah, I know. And, like,
all the other stuff that you're doing. Yeah.
Yeah. So leaving names out and stuff, but basically it was like my first TV show credit. I'll say that,
which is huge. Yeah.
Since I just graduated, so it felt pretty huge.
Yeah. No, that is huge.
And obviously it sounded like a good opportunity, so it was like, let me snag that.
Yeah.
And I knew I was going to be underpaid as a first AC. Oh yeah, so the job
was really?
as a first AC of the B cam.
Okay.
So yeah, but
that's huge too, because like I know you want to, like, your main goal is cinematography, right? You want to be camera. So I feel like getting hired on you know, for a position that's pretty close to it, I feel like that's pretty huge, because, you know, usually it's like work your way up the ladder, blah, blah, blah. But I totally see why you would be like, this is a great opportunity, let's do it, right? And continue. And then tell them what happened.
So, like I said, I'm a fresh graduate.
Yeah.
Never thought that I would have landed an opportunity to shoot.
Yeah.
Or be a first AC on a TV show.
Yeah, that's quickly. Huge. No, I know. That's great. Yeah.
So I was kind of like a yes man. I was like, yes.
Right. And I mean, I get why. Like, I honestly would be doing the same. Like, if somebody was like, hey, like, you know, you have the opportunity to assist and direct for this TV show, I'd be like, yes, yeah, whatever you need. You know what I mean? Because that doesn't happen so quickly all the time. So yeah. I get it.
So I was even willing to do it at a lower rate, which I felt like that was going to happen because I had day played for them. That's kind of how I got it.
So like snowballed into a bigger position.
Yeah, someone I had met on like an indie short film was working on this show as the first. He was transitioning over at the tail end of that season to work on something else, so he needed someone to fill in on the last day. Of that show. So then I guess I did a good job, and they're like, we're gonna shoot another show starting either December or January. We'd love to have you. They were like, we were back and forth throughout like the Christmas holiday time, because they wanted to shoot in December, but kept getting pushed back because, like, you know, it's the holidays.
Yeah, holidays is honestly kind of a nightmare to shoot around.
Yeah, so I knew, like, personally, I wouldn't have joined if they were shooting in December, and I kept telling them, like, I don't know, I'm going to be back in January.
Yeah.
And then, whatever, kept in contact with them. They kept hitting me up. So then finally, whatever, I had another gig in early January.
Yeah, I remember that.
And that was conflicting with the start date of the show. So I thought that was going to fall through, but they kept like, no, when you come back.
Yeah.
So whatever. I was like, this is great. And I, hit them up when I got back to LA. And, they required a COVID bubble, which I had never been a part of.
Explain the COVID bubble. Like, what were they asking you to do in this bubble?
So they were requiring us to like live together and amongst these different houses.
That sounds like a reality TV show, like Big Brother or something, where you're like all living in a house together, and there's probably like hidden cameras.
Yeah, there were cameras. There were cameras, not in the house, but outside of the house to like deter us from breaking the bubble, right?
So how long did they want you guys to be in this house together? And all the crew members are in this house together?
No, they had about 5 houses, so we're all split up amongst.
Holy shit! It's like a fucking like frat or like dorm like situation. Yeah. Oh my god! Okay.
Yeah. So also I had joined. They had already started shooting. I joined like a week or 2 into the production. So I was kind of like a newbie, So, but I'm confident in like meeting new people and stuff. But it is still a little nerve wracking.
Well, of course,
joining mid, in
the middle of something when you're you're not with everyone.
The camera team had already been like
close
doing their thing, and then I come in and kind of shift the dynamic. So I was kind of like, let me know where you want me to be, sort of deal.
Yeah.
Even though I was hired as the first AC, there was someone else that was like doing the first AC work for the B cam. But initially, he was supposed to be the second AC. So he told me like, do whatever you want.
Do whatever you want.
And I'm like, well, I would like to first like.
Well, yeah, that's what you thought you were gonna do. You don't want to not do the position that you thought you were gonna do.
Yeah. So he was chill on like whatever he let me, do that. And all was well at first, so I thought, I was making friends with everybody. Building camaraderie.
How many months is this like bubble supposed to be?
Oh yeah, sorry, I didn't answer your question.
No, you're good.
April, so from January to April.
That's like 3 months, right? I'm like,
well, yeah, I joined like January 29th, so.
But still, okay, so just so like people can understand this, like, okay, from January to April, you're asked to live in this house with the crew members of this shoot, and you're not allowed to see anyone else.
I wasn't allowed to go home, and I wasn't allowed. Yeah,
I've honestly never even heard of I've never heard of anyone having to do that. Like it almost always is like get COVID tested, and then like if you're negative, then come to set, come to work. But like actually having the whole crew in a house, in a bubble, and not allowing them to leave, like that's a lot to ask for.
Yeah.
Like I feel like you have to like almost compensate for that.
I agree. I think like, just to air it out in the open, my rate was $275
per day.
Per day that I worked. That didn't include the days off where I was forced to
still stay in the house.
So I was just supposed to.
Well, like what days did they not like need you, I guess? Like when they didn't use camera B or something?
No. It's kind of like we work Monday through Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday we have off.
So even on the weekends you can't even leave.
So on the weekends I'm sitting
in the house,
not doing anything. Like
that's a lot. Like that is a big commitment. I feel like for me to be able to like really commit to that, I wouldn't like want to be paid minimum wage, you know what I mean? Because like it's not even that you're getting paid minimum wage, but I feel like for that commitment, like I feel like you should be getting paid more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because it was, it's $275 a day. Like if I worked 5 days a week, it was a nice paycheck.
It was a nice paycheck,
but it's not.
But you're giving away your freedom, social life. Like kind of everything. Everything's on hold for 3 months for this production.
And it was like just enough to pay my bills. You get me?
Yeah, I do get you because it's expensive to live in LA. Or in California in general, honestly.
Yeah, so I was like working to pay rent
For a place you're not even staying in for 3 months.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's even more frustrating.
So, at first I thought I could do it. And then
you're like a weekend, you're like, save me.
I was just like really questioning the bubble and not in a bad way or anything. Yeah. But I mean, it was just like more so confusing to me because, I've seen other productions where everyone gets to go home.
Yeah.
And, already in this industry, we work ton overtime. Hours.
Yeah.
It already affects our personal lives, And
right. And then to not even have the weekend to like detach and like let all that film, like the weekly, like, shoot week, let that stress go and be able to just like detach over the weekend. Like, I feel like if I was in charge of that, like as a CCO or like what, even if I was like directing it, like I feel like just to be kind to my crew and not make them go stir crazy, I feel like it would have made sense. Like, okay, like during the week when we're shooting, let's be in this house together, like isolate, blah, blah, blah. But on the weekends when we're not shooting, you can go home, see your friends, whatever, but you have to, take a COVID test on Sunday night or Monday morning or whatever it is. You know what I mean? I feel like that would be a way you could like still have what you need and still give your crew freedom. Because I feel like you want a happy crew to like make this production like happen. Because I feel like if you have an angry crew and they feel like trapped, like I don't know how good the content will be.
Yeah, and like the longer I was in the bubble, and it was really weird because since I'm new, I just kept changing every negative thought to be positive. I don't have time for this negative self-talk, and I'm like, I'm grateful to be here.
Right. I get that too, though, because it's like your first big project. Like you want to be a yes man, you want to be like, a team player, but at the same time, it's like, when do you put your foot down?
Mm-hmm. So, throughout my, internal questions, I went back to my start paperwork, and I didn't see anywhere that I was like signing my life away to live in this bubble.
Okay.
And then, I don't know, I guess I have a little bit of a rebellious side. I'm not a huge I don't always break the rules.
But when I do.
It's because I think I'm right, So, right. And I had already been away from my girlfriend for most of January because I was working that job. I was working
the previous job, right?
So I was away for like almost 3 weeks, and then come back,
and then you're gone for 3 months,
and then I'm gone again.
But you're like not even gone. You're in LA, but you just can't see her. So I get it. I mean, that's hard, especially when you're used to seeing someone every day, or and it's like you want to have that. You want to at least have some time with them, like.
And I just moved to the city, and it felt like it was
like a long distance relationship almost.
Yeah, but it also felt like it was taking my time away from experiencing LA. Like I still haven't done much because all I've been doing is working.
Because even Santa said like the hours are crazy.
Yeah, and
it's like even though we would get out of work kind of early-ish, like probably like 1 or 2 if you do the whole 8 hours.
I was tired as f***.
You're tired as f***. You're tired as f*** because you're waking up at like 3 a.m. to be on set at 4 a.m. And it's like when you're testing, 300 people and it's that cold and it's that early, like your first thing when you get home isn't like, let me go explore LA and hit traffic at 3 p.m. Like you're like, I'm gonna take a nap, eat some food, and then like maybe at night I can like do like, you know what I mean? So it's like, I get it.
So needless to say, I guess I could give you some more details because it felt okay. I don't even know where to start. So with that said, I was in this bubble. I was living in a house with other people in my department and other departments, but I felt like my house was like the young house. We're all like in the 20s, and
so it seemed kind of like a fun house.
It was a fun house. Like whenever there were parties, it was at our house.
Okay, so you guys could like social, like be at each other's houses, but only like
Yeah, you could go from house to house.
And it's all on the same street or some shit? Like, how does
No. So that's the thing. Like, there was a house in Malibu, Encino, blah, blah, blah. Like, they were spread out. And,
okay. Where were you at? What area?
Encino. And, so some people would travel from house to house. And
that's kind of a drive to Malibu, though.
Yeah, I actually never went to the Malibu house.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, what was I gonna say? So yeah, people would ask permission to go to other houses.
Okay.
And they would say yes, but as you can guess, like there's a lot of a gray area, right? Like you could drive from places. Obviously, you could take advantage of your time out. Like, let's say you're desiring McDonald's.
Desiring McDonald's.
I'm sure you're gonna go through the drive-thru.
I'm gonna want McDonald's after this.
But you get tired of the food that they're providing you. You're driving somewhere and you see a McDonald's. Like, yeah, you're probably gonna go pick that up, and that's technically breaking the bubble.
Oh. Okay.
So it was like that strict. You get me?
Wow. Okay.
But people do what they want to do.
Right.
So people were doing that. People were doing things like that.
Right.
But while people felt like that was okay and excusable,
we're also not going to name any names because we don't want to get anyone in trouble. But just imagine it.
Yeah, and you're not hurting anyone by doing that. So that's my thought process. I'm sure other people's thought process. But no one did what I did, which I broke the bubble and went home to see my girlfriend.
Okay, so how long into this bubble of isolating did you break the rules?
Probably like 3 weeks.
3 weeks? Okay. And how do you think you got caught? Do you think the cameras caught you? Do you think someone snitched on you? Like, how do you think that went down?
Well, okay, because I'm trying to remember. So I was definitely snitched on because when I did it, right, when I finally like grew the guts to do what I did, I was paranoid as hell. The first time
it's kind of like when you sneak out for the first time with your parents, you're like, okay, tonight you like plan everything out to the T. You're like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna leave at this time. I'm gonna like, you know what I mean, like climb through the window, like whatever the situation is.
Yeah, I read the room, right? Like I was in the habitat. I felt like it was very chill. It didn't feel strict at all.
Yeah.
So I felt like if I did this and kept to myself about it, it's kind of like don't see, don't tell sort of instances.
Yeah.
And whatever. I left to go to my house and I hung out with my girlfriend like for an hour and then I went back.
Yeah.
Right? But then I was feeling like that was a heat up to leave and then come back. So when I got more comfortable, and I only did this maybe like once a week. When I started getting really comfortable, I did it 2 times in a week, and then that's when someone like said something to me because people in the house started noticing I was disappearing.
And what did this individual say? Like, and what time were you leaving? Like when people were asleep, or like?
Well, so we would like wrap, and then I would go back to the house, and then I would just leave shortly thereafter, and then arrive to set during call time the next day.
Got it. Oh, okay. Got it. Okay.
Because I wanted to sleep at home.
Yeah.
Or like once you get a taste
of home, your bed.
Yeah. You kind of go back.
Yeah.
And mind you, my room, like the one thing that I will say, they gave us each our own room, which is nice to have.
Oh, that is nice.
Own privacy.
I was gonna say because it's
office.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Which is fine, whatever. But I mean, I just I would like to assume.
Was there a mattress in there, or are you just sleeping on a chair?
No, there was like a fun.
I'm like, I understand why you'd want to go home.
I know, and in the beginning, there was this fire alarm that just kept chirping because it needed a new battery, and I took out the battery, and it wouldn't stop chirping, and I'm like, great.
Oh God, I hate that. It's so annoying. It's like beep.
Maybe
beep, and you're like, I'm gonna lose my shit.
Yeah, I started, descending into madness a little
Yeah.
bit.
You're like, I'm going crazy.
But, I would go crazy, and then I'm like, shut up.
But shut up. Inner thoughts.
Yeah.
Stop. Yeah.
So I kept having like this yo-yoing effect.
Yeah.
Of, my internal thoughts and emotions. Because I was always like regulating myself too,
Yeah.
which I think is like the most bizarre part of all of this,
Mm-hmm.
because it very much was like Big Brother, where like you do that, and like that's the biggest warning in like these dystopian novels is
Mm-hmm.
like when you are like self-checking yourself,
Mm-hmm.
like when you're monitoring yourself,
yeah,
that is indoctrination, you know, like that's not
yeah,
cute. It's not.
Yeah, it's not cute.
It's like
it's not cute, sis.
I get it. I get the bubble is like the, you know, your
right.
That was your COVID policy,
right?
But like you have to realize
Mm-hmm.
what you're asking.
I think so too, and I feel like before, like, I feel like they needed to like kind of have a sit down, like a team. I don't know if they did, but like I feel like they'd have to have like a sit down and be like, hey guys, like, you know, we're going to be doing this, like, you know, isolation thing. I still think they should have let you guys leave on the weekends, because I think it's asking for too much, especially if you're not shooting on the weekends. Like, that's a lot. Like, I honestly, like, I'm trying to put myself in that situation, and I feel like I would also go stir crazy. I would be scared of getting in trouble of like leaving, but at the same time, it's a lot to ask for someone to literally put their whole life on hold, because like, even when we're on these big sets, even if you're on an independent shoot, like even if you're working like all week, you still get to go home after like the 12 hours or after like 10 hours, however long, even if it's overtime, like you're still going to get to go home and sleep in your own bed and then kind of like reset and be like, and we do it all over again, right? But it's like with that, it feels like a never ending cycle, you know?
And like when you go home, that's your safe space. You decompress.
Exactly. And you can't decompress with like another film crew member in the room or like in the house. Like you're still like, you feel like you're still on set.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And that's a good point to bring up, because I was like, my energy was always drained. And I guess like, it's because, I didn't have that go home and shut off time, you know? Like I would go home, or go to the quarantine house, and I'm around
the quarantine house. That alone, I'm like, oh my god, like that sounds crazy.
The people that I've been working with all day, which like I learned to love them, you know, I learned to like them.
Yeah, it's not like they're the issue. It's just like sanity and needing space, honestly.
Yeah, and I also I was just really neglecting myself too in there, because you can't, and maybe I sound like a diva saying this, but they would buy us groceries, but like I would have to cook, you know?
Yeah.
And then,
like they should have had a chef.
no, but like other people would be in the kitchen, and then like
it's like too many cooks in the kitchen.
Too many cooks in the kitchen, and then I would just resort to making myself like
a sandwich.
Oh
my god, I knew you were gonna say I was like a sandwich.
Yeah, and I would just eat like sandwich and chips and graze and eat little nuts and stuff.
Little nuts. You know, what's wrong with big nuts?
Walnuts. No, but whatever. Maybe I just like tiptoe too much, and maybe it's my own learning experience. I should like value myself and like But I'm still in the very beginning, so I felt like I can't like demand
certain things.
You know? Like I said, I was being very much a yes man,
right?
To my own detriment. And anyways, so like I had mentioned, I got comfortable with what I was doing. And, people in the house started noticing, and someone in my department, the camera department, on set near the other people, which I thought was a little sus behavior, asked me like, hey dude, so are you really going home? And I said, yeah, because I thought this guy was my friend.
The betrayal, backstabbing.
We were like smoking weed together.
Oh, so tell us the crazy part of when they broke the news to you that you're no longer part of the team, part of the crew.
Okay, so I spoke with my friend again Saturday morning, thinking, and then he was just telling me to stop doing what I was doing. And obviously he got defensive again, but you know, just drove myself to set. And then I'm trying to build a camera. One of the ADs is like, oh, showrunner's looking for you. And so
scary.
I go, and I sit across from the showrunner, and he asked me if I had been, going home, and I just said yeah sometimes.
Yeah. You were just honest about it.
Yeah.
And then what happened?
He was glad I told him the truth.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I'm glad you told me the truth, because like the last thing I would want to do is go through the cameras, because they do have cameras, but I don't think they were actively looking on the cameras, because how else would I have done it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And like the way he said that, he wouldn't want to have to go through the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then you have to go through a lot of footage.
Yeah. Days of footage.
But anyways, but he was nice. He said he was gonna try to squash it, but I already knew like I was gonna lose my job.
So you saw it coming, like when you knew he was pulling you aside, you kind of had a feeling it was coming.
Yeah, and like I could have easily denied it, but I feel like
it was better to be honest in that situation. Yeah.
I think honesty is the best policy.
Yeah.
Even if you end up
getting in trouble. Yeah. So how did that make you feel when you lost your job in that situation? Like, were your thoughts and emotions, like, did you feel different, or was it still like the same? Like where are you at right now with it?
Well, initially, yeah, I was definitely like, I think I was hurt and shocked and dismayed, disheartened. I don't know, a lot of feelings.
Yeah.
But still, I don't think anyone could read that on me, because I was just kind of like, shaking my head, keep my head down, But and I kind of left without saying bye to anyone. It wasn't until like an hour or two later, people noticed I wasn't there, and I started getting texts from the crew. And I think that's what was hard, because like I got snitched on by someone in this like Big Brother-esque kind of way.
Yeah.
And then I'm getting reached out to by
the crew, like where
crew who are also housemates.
Right.
And ultimately I feel like I have to like not talk to them while like the project's still going on, because I realized I was gonna I felt like me just talking to someone else was gonna stir the pot.
Okay.
So that's kind of where I'm at right now, and it sucks. And I've gone through the motions of like thinking about this and forgiving,
right.
Like, I have to just let go, like, because part of me was like angry at who I thought was a snitch, and then, like, then you kind of go through the mind where like obviously everyone's gonna say it wasn't them,
right?
And then like, so that's like a trippy. Did
they when they broke the news to you, like that you're out, like was it delivered in like a professional way, or was it like, we know what you did, you're out?
No, they let me off really nicely, like it seemed to have pained them that they had to let me go.
Oh, okay.
And it pained me too. Like I knew the consequence.
Right.
And I faced the consequences.
Right.
And even though I knew what could happen and what did happen, when you still like go through it, it's still like sad.
Of course, yeah.
Like I said, I thought I was making friends with people, building camaraderie. We would play games and we played spoons, and not gonna lie, I was whooping ass. No, but like it was a good time. And so rather than being like bitter by the experience, because I was feeling bitter, like I was going through all these emotions. Like one day. But
that's honestly, I feel like it's amazing that you can still like sit here and be like, you know what, I did do this. Like I didn't feel like this was like the type of living situation I wanted to be in. It was a big commitment. And you said it even before, like right when you sat down, you're like, I should have said something right in the beginning if I wasn't okay with something like this, or like down to be so in a bubble. And I feel like yeah, like the outcome was shitty, not what you expected, not what you wanted. But I think you did learn a lot from this experience. And now I think going forward, you won't make that mistake of like not getting yourself into something that you don't fully like want to be in, unless you're like really like, okay, this is what I'm agreeing to. You know what I mean? So even though like in the moment, because I remember when you texted me and you're like, I'm so upset. Like, you know, they basically told me I'm out, like off the crew. And it's like that, obviously that's like hard. It's a hard pill to swallow. Right. But I feel like you're able to, you took away a lot from it without even realizing it. And until you were like sitting here and saying it out loud, you know, you're like, I'm like, I think you learned a lot from it. And like, I do agree though. It was like a crazy situation to be in. And I think like, even like asking the audience, like, would you be able to fully isolate from friends and family for 3 months? You know, you're not allowed to go in the city you live in, and you can't go anywhere else besides the house. Like, it's a tough situation to be in. And I feel like not until you're in that situation can you make a judgment call on that. You know what I mean? Because like people might at first be like, well, you left, you know, you snuck out. But I feel like you have to really put yourself in that situation and be like, can you do that? Because like I don't think I would have been able to. Like up front, like I would have been like, honestly, like I would love to be a part of this production, but I can't isolate for 3 months and not see anyone, especially when we're not shooting on the weekends, you know? Which I don't know if they would have hired me then, right? But at least like going forward now, you know, like maybe that's not something that's your forte, right? Like maybe you do more of a production that does require like testing 3 times a week instead, but you can go home, you know?
Or I mean, I do know what's so exciting about this industry is like I could get hired on a job that would take me somewhere across the country or the world, for that matter. Yeah, I'm going to be away from family and friends and loved ones during that time. I totally get that. But like we mentioned before, like doing it in your city, in those manners when you could allow people to go home if you just test them, you know. It's unfortunate if like budget was an issue, or I don't know. Who knows?
Right.
I don't really have the answers, but I am like criticizing that the bubble.
The bubble. I feel like that's going to be the episode title, The Bubble.
The bubble.
It's like, what are they talking about?
You haven't heard about the bubble? Well,
so now that you are not doing that project anymore, like what is your, like what have you been doing? What do you want to do? Like what are you focusing on?
So I mean, ideally I want more camera jobs. I'm even willing to be like a utility.
Yeah.
You know, I want to get more on like closer to union sets, which I gotta make my way over.
Right.
But I just want to continue learning and freelancing.
Yeah.
I don't know, we'll see. But other than that, I do want to make a short film.
Hey, let's make one together.
Yeah, so
pick me.
I just need to develop it.
No, but that's honestly, I feel like that's kind of like what you should be doing is like work on your own stuff on the side, take these gigs that pay your rent, like do what you got to do to survive in this city. But at the same time, like don't forget about your own passion and what you want to create, you know?
No,
because I feel like that it's hard sometimes to do that. Even with me, like I'm just like, I have so many ideas and like script ideas that I want to like make happen. But then I'm like focusing so much on like what's paying the bills that I'm like not necessarily always like making new content. And I'm like, I'm limiting myself, but it's also hard to manage that time, you know? And it's like when you are isolated in a bubble like that, like you really can't work on anything else. Like you're really dedicating everything to that production, which I'm not saying that's bad, but it's like 3 months is a long time to not be able to like work on anything else, especially your own stuff.
Yeah, and maybe that was definitely something that was bothering me the entire time out. I felt like a need to create. It made me realize even more like I need to make something sooner than later. I can't just keep working, you know.
Yeah.
Because, you know, everyone knows all work, no play makes
How's like, because I know you're from
Jack, a dull boy. Jack, I don't know.
I know you're from Miami, so like what, like how's Miami different from LA, like for you?
Oh, well.
Do you feel like, is there like a whole film industry like in Miami? Like, what's the situation out there?
I mean, I think it's definitely got a little film community. Yeah. I just think it's smaller and a little harder to get into, at least in my own experience.
Okay. But thanks for coming on and like sharing this too, because I know like when you had first texted me about it, you were really upset about the situation, and to be able to come on and, you know, share your story and be able to like reflect and own up to the stuff that had happened, like that's huge. And I feel like hopefully you can take away like, you know, I learned and I grew from this, and like you're not a bad person for leaving home. Like I just want you to know that. Like obviously like the production's gonna make you feel like you shouldn't have left, like and like, but at the end of the day it's like you're human, you know what I mean? Like I understand the situation and where you were coming from. So
I'm glad that you could understand, and I hope other people understand, because it's just like, I don't know, I
really want to make, like, I'm going to add a poll and be like, would you be able to isolate from friends and family for 3 months? I'm just curious to see if people would be able to, because like I said, not until you're in that situation, I feel like you'd understand, you know? And I'm like, I don't think I'd be one of those people that could do it. Honestly, if I'm being honest, I think for me, I'd rather do the testing like 3 times a week than isolate for 3 months.
Oh, and I don't think I mentioned this. So to be admitted to the bubble, we would test 3 times a week. But once you're in the bubble,
you're good. Okay. Interesting how they went about that.
So back to what we were saying, I don't think maybe they couldn't afford to test. I don't know. But it sounds like it.
The mystery is there.
Yeah.
We'll never know, I guess. but
thank you.
Thank you for coming on the podcast. And I hope that we can work on a project in the future together, and I won't make you isolate. All right. Bye, guys. Bye. See you next week.